Welcome back to the program. Thank you for remaining with us. You're watching Smart 24, where we drive your business. And my name is Anthony, and I am your host. And today, of course, as I promised, we are bringing you an official from the Uganda Securities Exchange. His name is Mr. Bob Musinguzi, and he's the manager in charge of the Securities Central Depository, or the registry department at the exchange. You're most welcome, Mr. Musinguzi.
Thank you, Anthony, and we appreciate the opportunity you've given us to come and talk to our investors. So something we really treasure.
Now, before we go into the registry and the SCD accounts and stuff, yesterday, Dr. Michael Etinji, who is the Deputy Governor of Bank of Uganda, during the launch of a partnership between Zeno and MTN, made a mention that only 0.1% of Ugandans have been able to invest or save with securities. That's talking about the bills, the bonds, and the shares. And of course, this report, yes, is 0.1. It could have been worse, but it's not where we want to be. What do you think is still lacking in the mindset of Ugandans when it comes to investing with the securities market?
So we'll look at generally the investment environment and the market. Normally when you go to the doctors, they will tell you, okay, this is what you're suffering from. But this is a combination of a lot of factors. Some are structural, some will come from the way the economy is, some are culture. So we'll start from the point is most people don't know. I have been privileged to be in the financial sector for quite some time. So we study, some of us are highly educated, young people, PhDs and the like, but then there's a certain component called financial literacy. And you'll be shocked somebody to find they are this highly educated and actually they are financially illiterate. So for us is our job, and maybe what needs to be done more is to get more people to be financially literate. That is one. Two, as a people, even the ones who have gotten this financial literacy, we are, I think, generally impatient people, especially when it comes to money. We love quick things. The conversations we have with people out there, someone says, okay, fine, you've convinced me, I've understood. So if I give you 10 million today, how much will you give me tomorrow? So now that is also a challenge, because investment is a factor of time, or returns are a factor of time. And then, of course, others really want to do something they can touch. I have my plot of land, I bought it, I can see it, I can wake up in the morning, go and view, and I'm like, okay, my land is there, my cow is there. So those, it's a lot of things. And then most of us save after we have consumed. So basically we consume everything, there is nothing left. And that is now also a behavioral thing that needs to be...
Poor saving culture.
There is no saving.
There is no saving culture at all.
So somebody said, because it's supposed to be save before you consume. But we are consuming before we save. Just briefly, that's what I would call it.
And so, okay, now getting back to the registry and part, what do you do exactly at the exchange as the manager of the registry department?
So the exchange has a subsidiary that runs the business of registry. But in terms of listed companies, registry is the management of the shareholders of companies. So you find this company maybe is a power distributor. Its business is power distribution, but for all the reasons that made it come to the public, it gets new stakeholders called shareholders, and there are many. So somebody has to take care of their business. What are my holdings? I want to change this, I want to add this. So we fill that gap and come to take care of their shareholders or their investors. So if anything to deal with the shareholders is managed through the registry on behalf of the company itself. Yeah. So that is basically our business. You're saying, I want to change my phone number on the register. I want to change my bank account. I would want to buy more shares. Or how do I sell? I want to give my shares to my child. So anything that revolves around a shareholder or an investor in a company is the business of the share registrar.
Now, as a registrar, for example, during an IPO, people are buying shares for the first time in this company.
Yes.
And you say you're in charge of like that department of registering people. What do people ought to come with on board when they are coming to buy shares, for example, for the first time during the IPO? And how different is that on the secondary market when they are buying shares, after the IPO?
Okay. So during the IPO, now that's what we call creation of a register. Most likely, if it has been a private company, the founders have been the shareholders. So now we are onboarding people. So we will normally go through what we call KYC in the financial industry, which is know your customer. For us, we call it know your investor. So we need to build information about the client. Their contacts, normally we look at a phone number, an email, and physical address for some. Remember, it is an investment. You expect a return. So when that return is coming, where should it go? So we'll need your banking details. Of course, now that is changing. It will be remittance details because it involves some have gone to telco wallets or mobile money or Airtel money. That's in normal speak. Then we want to know who else can we contact if you're not there, or any other instructions you want to pertain to you as a shareholder.
And these registrars, usually on the SCD registrars, are they like are we still going the manual way of coming physically on the exchange, or there are options now for us to actually be able to register online and sending our details online without us physically appearing for registration?
So maybe I just need just take a step back a bit. So the investor first interacts with the exchange first. So you need to first open an account, a depository account. Maybe for some of you who are interfacing with us in the first case, we have something we call an SCD account, but in short it is an investment account. The way you go to a bank and open an account to keep your money in. So before you start transacting in securities, you need to open a depository account. That's where if you buy like NIC shares, that's where they're going to be kept. We no longer give certificates. So by the time somebody comes to take part, they must have a depository account. So that is where it starts from. So if it is an IPO, so by the time I come to deal with you, you must have a depository account. Because we have moved on. Originally, the registrar or the company selling shares through its registrar would give you a certificate, but that has ceased. So you must have the account, and that information is already there. We'll just come to pick something extra.
You brought up the SCD account. I wanted to ask that in detail because many people hear of two things: Security Central Depository Account, and others hear of Central Securities Depository, the CSD. Could you break it down for us a little bit more? How do these two accounts differ, first of all? Because what we know is they store securities. But how do they differ, and how do they work? Do I deposit money on that account directly, or there's an intermediate who actually has to deposit for me that money?
Okay. Now, you raised something. There is SCD, there is CSD. Now, our market is a bit unique in that currently the central bank or Bank of Uganda has sales on behalf of government. When government wants to borrow through the treasury bills and treasury bonds, it also sells to, they are also securities. So they are sold through the central bank. So originally you have, or even currently, you have to go through your bank or even our brokers to do that. So to create a distinction, the one at the central bank is called an SCD account. The purpose is the same. Now, so it is a central securities depository.
CSD.
Yeah, held at the central bank.
Yes.
Now, on our side, it is the securities central depository. So you find they are the same words, just the order is reversed. So because of that historical bit, the nomenclature or the naming is different, but they serve the same purpose. And maybe there is something we are doing with the central bank to try and harmonize those so that an investor can only need one account. So in due time, when maybe whatever discussions are going on are complete, then it will be something we'll be happy to come here and talk about. So they are the same. Now, what do I do when I want to buy?
Yes.
An SCD or a CSD account does not hold money. It holds securities or shares. Yeah, so you will normally either go through your broker or maybe a commercial bank to cover both sides. So this person who is going to transact on your behalf is the one you're going to give the money. So when they receive money, you also give them instructions. You say, maybe I want to buy a security like, let's say, maybe Bank of Baroda shares. So your broker will receive your money, do a transaction on your behalf, because you can't come direct to the market. Otherwise, or two, these people are advisors. Some of these things, until when we develop some massive body of knowledge in the public, then we can say you can come direct. But until then, we need somebody to help advise and break down some of these things. So that's why you have to go through. The same with when you want to also buy government securities through the bank, government bond dealers. So you also go through there, they will tell you now this is the yield. And so all these things that our intention is to demystify and get the public to know, then they will buy on your behalf.
You've talked about something very interesting, that is it a policy that I cannot buy shares on my own? I've honestly got a ton of people who ask me, I want to buy shares. Yes? Why do I need to go through a broker? Can't I myself go and say, I want MTN stock, I get my money through the exchange, I open my account, deposit my money, buy the way I would want? Is it a policy that is there to protect the shareholders, or something that was actually, just something people can choose to do or not to do?
It's embedded in a couple of things. One is part of it is in the law, the way it is set up. You have to go through an intermediary to go on the market. The other, and the reason maybe it was embedded in the law, is where we're coming from. Because you might say, okay, when these other maybe markets which are slightly ahead of us, they will tell you you can trade on your behalf. But now, until we feel that people understand these things, because you don't want to come with your 100 million or your hard-earned savings and make a mistake because there is something you don't understand. So you're saying, in the interim, get somebody whom we're calling an advisor to help you. Because you start taking the advice of the broker, we always advise you start small, always consult. Now, I'm also an investor on the exchange. Most likely by the time I make a decision to buy, I might, with the level of understanding I have, I might not need to ask the broker. I'll just tell him to do this for me. Because maybe I've thought about it, I've analyzed
your research.
Yes. But now not everybody would be at that level. So that's why we still, but still to answer your question, we have some plans in place, which should be coming out very soon, where an investor can do that. But always we will tell you, first seek knowledge. Otherwise, this investment is, it's good. You can make money, but the reverse is true. You can also lose money. This is important that we make sure the public knows. So We used to have a teacher who tell us that always ask. It made an abbreviation that's always seeking knowledge. Get knowledge before you do.
Before we leave the issue of the SCD account, we want to demystify everything around it, and we move now to something else. These accounts, we've seen that you've made partnerships, for example, with MTN, where someone can be able to open their own account. How does this work, and is it an authentic account if I open it myself without any other person, and are there any charges involved as well?
Okay. Yeah, and I think it also feeds into the previous question. So the idea I was saying is we want to bring it to the public.
Yes.
Because investments in shares, the markets, are not something that is meant to be kept in the corporate world for either who is who. All of us need to make money. I'm sure normally in your programming you show people, the most rich people, and money is made on the capital markets. Let them, very few people will achieve wealth that can cross generations really without interfacing with the capital markets, either as an investor or as an entity raising money. So we wanted to go, and step one of the self-service was, can we bring account opening to your fingertips? Because you'll find all our brokers and intermediaries are in urban centers. But we said, you know what, we have spent 20 years, why don't we bring it closer? So that's why we partnered with MTN and other partnerships that will be coming through very soon. Is if you have your phone, we have our storage for information through the government agency, NIRA. So we pick your information, we don't need to ask you for anything. You already have this information, so we pick it. And that is making life easier, making it access. Why do I need to go bring your LC? Yet this information is available. So the whole essence is make it simple. So if you go through that channel and you open, your account is authentic. It comes through to our systems, you get recorded, you receive your account number, and you're ready to start your investment journey.
And it's free of charge?
It's free of charge.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Now, moving away from the SCD account, there's something called an annual general meeting. And recently we've seen very many companies hold these annual general meeting. What's the agenda of the annual general meeting, and what does it mean to the shareholder in a company?
Okay. No, thank you. And this is the AGM season, as you have mentioned. So, an annual general meeting, well, actually maybe take a step back. The shareholders are the owners of the company. But let's say if I have shares in Umeme, really I'm not an engineer. I don't understand the business of engineering and power distribution. So we hire people. Me, I have the money, I've saved my small money. So I want people to run for me business of power distribution. But I don't know it. So I hire these people. These people go and do the work. But they need to report to me. I need to understand what they are doing. So the annual general meeting is that tool, or is that point in time when management has to come and tell the owners of the company how the business has been. So we come meet, then here they present. Oh, you see, you gave us 100 million, so we did A, B, C, D. Then we also say, okay, if you did A, B, C, D and the results are there, did you do it in the right way? That is why you'll always find an auditor's report. So basically, an annual general meeting is where the owners of the company get told how their company has performed and through what ways, and what it will also be doing in future.
What are the different categories of people that are expected to attend the annual general meeting?
So maybe the reason for the annual general meeting, I hope I won't complicate this. In our, it's a cornerstone of corporate governance. Now, corporate governance is about how different stakeholders or people who have an interest in the company how you manage their relationships. You don't want any party to have more power than the others. There are employees, there is management, there are suppliers. All these people have a stake in the well-being of that company. And the company has to try and balance that. So for the annual general meeting, the stake or the people who are expected to attend, one is management, because they are the ones coming to tell you. Then there is a board of directors. Now a board of directors is a representation of the shareholders. So there are people who watch management daily. It's who management reports to, and then the board reports to the shareholders, now through the annual general meeting. So of course there are key regulators. You'll expect regulators to also come and attend, because they're also interested. They have to make sure these people are doing business right. Then of course plus the shareholders who are the owners of the company.
So when I attend this annual general meeting, what is expected of me? Because when I remember when we saw the MTN annual general meeting, those who attended said, one of the shareholders came out and said, now I'm like Charles Mbire, who is the chairperson of the MTN company, and said I can sit at the same table and we discuss. How far should the shareholder go, like when it comes to the annual general meeting? Because they come with a lot of enthusiasm, especially when we saw MTN, people who had never seen this actually. They were very excited. They were like, okay, now this is our company. We are going to go and make decisions, and they had that very high expectations. So what should the shareholder expect out of the annual general meeting as their contribution?
Okay. So one, when you go to an annual general meeting, business one is you need to hear how your company has performed. Because if you go for an AGM and they are not giving you reports or telling you this is what we did, this is how we did it, and this is what came out of it, that would mean that is not an AGM. Two, now there's always business to be transacted. Now companies work through resolutions. So you will find there are things they call special resolutions, then there's also ordinary business. Normally it will refer to things like appointment of new directors. Directors or the board, remember, is the one that handles management. So when you come, you expect to see changes. So it's the annual general meeting or a shareholder, you and me, if we have shares in MTN, as you were saying, to come and say, okay, we don't think that person will represent us properly. So we don't like that one. So we can vote him or her out. Then two, remember auditors, I talked about auditors. Auditors are the people who go in with an oversight role to ensure business is being done the right way. So now their appointment on this appointment is something we'll also be keen in. Then also for certain huge projects, now we'll go to special business. So let's say, I think I saw something interesting in the news where I think the outgoing CEO of MTN was saying they might consider maybe applying for a banking license. So that is something very special to them, and then that could be extraordinary business, and then we'd also have to approve it because it is something new. We bought into a telecom company that maybe now is thinking of diversifying. So it's the shareholders who make that decision. And finally, the most important one is how to get returns. The company, if it has made money and wants to declare a dividend, then that is a decision that will be approved or rejected by the shareholders. And finally also management, especially from the MD or managing director or CEO. Now those are, people can say, you know what, we are not happy with the person leading our company, and maybe want a change. Or for whatever reason that would have brought that question. So those are the decisions that happen. So when you come, yes, that person has the same rights as Mr. Charles Mbire. If they say let's vote as shareholders, all of us for ordinary resolution, we'll all raise up our hands, one man, one vote. So basically they're at the same level. But given that he was elected as a chairman, he might sit in front and you sit here, but you're all seated and making the same decision.
Yeah. Wow, that's very interesting. Meaning, as a shareholder, you have a very huge responsibility on you.
True.
Actually, matter of fact, you're taking part in very critical decision making for the company.
You can make or break a company, and two, you've put your money there. You need to follow your money, because we don't believe anybody plucks money off trees. So it's your hard-earned money. Go and see what they are doing.
Okay, we're going to go into a very short break. Ladies and gentlemen, we are still talking to Mr. Musinguzi Bob, who is the manager of the registry at the Uganda Securities Exchange. We are talking about registering, we are talking about corporate governance, we are talking about annual general meetings and how relevant they are to you and me as shareholders in these listed companies. Don't go anywhere, we're taking a very short break. We'll return shortly. Stay with us.